Golden Sun, one of my favorite Nintendo franchises, contains many references to various things. Few enemies don't allude to something, and the Djinn sometimes have names that don't make sense at first, and occasionally ever. Djinn is a variant of Jinn, or its ultra-westernized form, Genie. Yes, the Arabian story Aladdin is actually a story including a Djinn, not a genie. Like most instances of DJ, it is pronounced with a very soft or silent D. The word Djinn actually is plural, and Genie is singular. Both variants of Djinn are mostly respellings of how these forms are pronounced. Djinn come in 4 flavors: Venus, Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter. The correlation to elements mostly falls into Chinese astrology or cultural connections. Venus in this case represents Earth and nature due to being considered the twin planet to Earth. Some scientists have theorized Venus once could have been a living planet with a structure and ecosystem very similar to Earth, and several outright claim that to be the case. Venus adepts are usually portrayed as being very kind and selfless, reflecting Venus, the goddess. Venus adepts also tend to be more durable and balanced, with mild healing abilities reflecting the solidarity of Earth and the ability for Earth-based things in real life, like humans and most animals, to heal and grow. Now let's look at how these Venus Djinn fit the Earth theme. Flint is a form of quartz, often used to make primitive weapons or tools. Granite is a type of very hard rock, hence why the Djinn girds your defenses. Quartz is a mineral or crystal. The names get better, trust me. Vines are tentacle-like parts of certain plants. It reduces enemy agility. It's easy to get tangled and trapped in vines or tentacles. Sap is a sticky, gooey substance found in trees. It's like tree blood. Sweet, sweet tree blood. Sap also means to absorb or take from another, which this Genie does to your enemies like a vampire sapping the blood of its victims. Ground. Yeah, great naming, guys. The ground is quite literally Earth, and all the rocks and everything. Ground can also mean to confine or disable, which this Genie does. Bane can poison your enemies, and at one point was a common term used to describe various toxic plants in Europe. If you go into a cave and talk, you can talk to yourself and descend into insanity. Echo also strikes twice, once and then the after strike, just like an echo. Iron is a hard metal, hence why an iron infusion would strengthen defense and treat anemia. Steel is a hard alloy. Some suggest it being a clone of sap could be a homophone reference to another word, steel, pronounced steel. Yep, Camelot, mud is definitely within the Earth theme, as much as ground. If you've ever tried to walk across soil after torrential rain, or tried to wade through a marsh, you'll know exactly how much mud can slow you down. If you were covered in gooey, sticky mud, you aren't going to be very agile. Flowers are a common plant and a big part of earthly nature. It likely heals because many flowers and plants, in general, contain medicinal substances. Meld is an odd Genie that is a verb, not a noun. Meld is a word used to describe combining two things, generally by melting down. Metal is often melded. This makes sense in its action of adding one character's strength to another for a superpowered attack. Anyone who has ever studied the New Testament will know Petra is Greek for stone, and the origin of the word petrification. Petra in this case is short for petrification, hence why Petra stones your enemies. Salt is that weird stuff next to the pepper. The stuff an oft would call poor man's seasoning due to the fact it is commonly used to create the illusion of seasoning without actually blending seasonings carefully, and when you taste it carefully, it does taste cheaper. But I'm digressing. Salt also comes in other forms and historically has been associated with purification. This is where the myth of evil being unable to cross salt lines originated from, and why salt heals you of all ailments. To simplify a bit, a geode is basically a hollow mineral-filled rock. Volcanic conditions often produce geodes, which could potentially explain the power boost geode grants. There are two ways to look at mold. One is as a molded clay voodoo doll you can use to manipulate enemies to attack other enemies, or as a fungus that is capable of confusing an enemy into attacking another. I personally feel the first way makes more sense. A crystal is, well, A crystal. Microscopically, crystals are very efficiently organized and solid. Crystals are sometimes seen as magical, hence why crystal may heal. Or maybe crystal is a she and this is sexist. Looking at the official art, there is no doubt this is referring to tree bark. Bark is often a protective armor for a tree, hence why it buffs your defense and why liberals tell you should never move bark from a tree, even if the tree is evil and a weed. Bricks are rectangular blocks made of stone. Most of you have probably never seen one. Mario likes breaking them with his skull. The idea behind this Djinni is it builds a sturdy brick wall around your party to protect you from damage unless you are fighting Mario. Gears are parts of machinery. The Djinni is shaped like a wind-up toy and has the same function as mold. It's not quite as clear a connection as a voodoo doll, but a wind-up toy also makes some sense in this case. When dirt is plowed, the depression, the valley, is called a furrow. This Djinni takes the life from enemies, and the best connection I see is the Djinni itself looks capable of eating or consuming, and if a large furrow was made, perhaps by an earthquake, things that fell in could be swallowed up and absorbed. While not fitting well with the Djinni's design, a garland is a ring or hoop made of flowers or leaves. Similar to how plants have healing properties, a ring of flowers tied together would heal you, right? Pewter is an alloy composed mostly of tin. Oddly, it is a softer metalloid, but pewter can break through defenses. Chasms are deep fissures generally that appear to have no bottom. This is Chasm's main focus. It is full of a deep, endless abyss that can absorb infinite damage. Chains are... you know what chains are. Metal loops linked together. Chains are good for holding things and for bondage. Using chains allows you to bind an enemy in place so your whole party is able to attack a defenseless, prone enemy. As a verb, buckle can mean to prepare or brace for something, which buckle does by boosting defense. I'm sure you all know what a clover is, and know they are lucky. What most of you probably don't know is that they are very nutritious and have a vaguely berryish flavor, which is why this Djinni can fix status problems. Magnets are things that have similar effects to gravity, especially on metal. Some theories even suggest gravity is entirely a magnetic phenomenon, with no preference to metal. Because magnets can exert extreme force, they can ground metallic things easily. In truth, magnet would need to control gravity to pin most enemies. So I suppose in Weyard, gravity is definitely a purely magnetic phenomenon. Ivy is much like a vine or chain and could easily bind your enemy, except ivy is said to stone your enemy. That's because its original name is Medusa, a famous creature who can stone anybody who looks at it. It's a toss-up which is better because Medusa doesn't scream earth. Hemlock is a plant and a deadly powerful poison, which is why it can condemn your enemies. And until Golden Sun 4, those are all the Venus Djinn. Next time will be Mars.